Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to step onto the factory floor of the very near future. It's a place that's changing faster than you can imagine, and not just with new machines, but with a completely new way of thinking. So let's dive right into the world of the 2026 smart factory. So, what's really driving all this change? I mean, it feels like we're hearing about automation everywhere we turn. But why now? Why the sudden urgency? It really feels like every company is in this mad dash to bring in new technology. What's that all about? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle comes down to this one single massive number, 425,000. That is the staggering number of new workers the industrial and construction sector needs in 2026 alone, just to keep things running. There just aren't enough people to fill all the open jobs. But a labor shortage is only part of the story. Factories today are dealing with what you could only call a perfect storm. They're trying to get by in a sluggish economy, which means less money coming in, but at the exact same time, the cost of essentials like energy is just going up and up. It's this triple threat that's forcing everyone to completely rethink how they operate. And because of all these intense pressures, the whole goal has changed. It's not about growth at all costs anymore. Now it's about something way more fundamental: survival. Technology isn't some luxury for getting bigger. It's become an absolutely necessary tool just to stay stable and resilient. Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? This is where things get really, really interesting. We're seeing the rise of intelligent software. You can kind of think of them as AI brains, and they're quickly becoming the new stars of the show on the factory floor. And believe me, this isn't some slow, gradual trend. Just look at the soaring interest in a specific type of AI. Large language models, or LLMs. The percentage of companies planning to bring them in just skyrocketed from 16% to 35% in a single year. That is a huge leap. Now, you might be wondering, what on earth is a large language model? Let's just break it down nice and simple. Imagine a super intelligent instruction manual that you can actually talk to. A worker could ask a really complex question about a machine and get an instant, helpful answer. It's kind of like having an expert right there by their side 24/7. But it's not all just happening in the software. The physical machines are changing in a big way too. So, it's time to meet your new robot coworker. And the crucial thing here, the most important part, is that this new generation is designed from the ground up to work with people, not to replace them. Honestly, the difference is just night and day. Old industrial robots were these huge, dangerous machines, right? They were kept behind safety cages, doing one repetitive task over and over and over. But these new robots, which we often call cobots for collaborative robots, they're completely different. They're built to work safely right next to a person, they can be taught new things easily, and they're just so much more flexible. And we're even seeing the early days of humanoid robots. Interest is growing really fast, and that's because they have one key advantage. They're designed to work in our world, using our tools and navigating our spaces. That makes them incredibly versatile, right out of the box. Okay, so we've got all this incredible new tech, from AI brains to friendly cobots, but who's actually leading this new industrial revolution? If you're thinking it's the giant car companies that have always been the kings of robotics, you might be in for a little surprise. For the first time in history, the automotive industry is no longer the biggest buyer of robots. As this chart shows, the leaders are now sectors like food and consumer goods and logistics. And what's really interesting is why. These new flexible cobots are more affordable and way easier to set up. And that's opening the door for all sorts of industries that could never even think about automation before. And to really put a fine point on it, a stunning 70% of these new collaborative robot orders came from outside the car industry. It's a truly historic shift, and it proves this isn't a niche thing anymore. Automation is finally becoming accessible to everyone. So let's tie all of these threads together, right? We've seen the economic pressures, the labor shortages, and all this incredible new technology. It all comes back to one core idea: the absolute, undeniable need for resilience. And we know this is a real, widespread shift because even the skeptics are coming around. The percentage of companies that had zero plans to adopt these new technologies, that's fallen quite a bit in just 1 year. In today's climate, standing still just isn't an option anymore. So the most crucial takeaway here is this: the smart factory of 2026 isn't really a story about robots taking jobs.
No, it's a story about companies using technology to help their human workers to become more efficient and, frankly, to simply survive in a very, very challenging economic world.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating question for the future, doesn't it? As these intelligent machines and collaborative robots take over more of the repetitive, physical stuff, what does the new role for people on the factory floor even look like? What skills are going to be most valuable in this new world of work? It's something we're all going to be figuring out together.